and welcome to some more viewer-submitted gameplay review. Today we're going to be taking a look at Katopossum playing some Mercy for us. This is a high gold, low platinum game, it looks like. Before we get started, this was recorded on an Xbox, if I remember correctly. Katopossum said that they were unable to record the microphone audio, but there was a lot of talking. You can kind of see it up in the left-hand corner as we go. And it only recorded the first half of the match, so we won't actually be watching them defend, I believe. We'll only be watching them attack, but that's okay. We can still get a really good look at this player's playstyle and hopefully offer some good advice on how they can improve their game. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I want to take a look at is what their lineup actually consists of. Okay, so this actually looks pretty good. It's mostly dive, except for the Hanzo. He's not really dive, but a good Hanzo is not a bad thing to have on your team. You've got 2 good tanks and 2 other solid DPS. It would be nice if you had another healer, but I know a lot of the times it doesn't happen in the lower ranks. So we'll see how this affects you guys as we go forward. All right, out the door. Here we go. So first off now, the Mei wall blocked you guys off, but I would like it more if you stayed farther out of the line of sight of the opening door. A lot of the times a lot of damage comes through, and if you happen to step out a little bit too soon out of the protection of spawn, you can take a lot of damage and die right away. So just always hang back a little bit. Let whatever's going to happen to your team first, not you. Okay. So you're spending a lot of time so far right in front of that big gate. Think about your line of sight a little bit more. Try to stay off to the side, heal from the side, heal from behind the vehicles. Don't stand right there. That's so easy. If they had a soldier on high ground on the right, because you didn't really look over there, I don't know if somebody called it out or not, but if they did have a soldier on that high right ground, you could have been easily targeted. Nice damage boosting. I like it. Okay, it's a good res. Okay, so I'm going to pause and rewind this just a little bit. I want to go over some stuff now that I've actually seen it. Let's go ahead and start from right here. I do like you damage boosting the Hanzo. We do have res. So I do like that you resed here. I might have waited another second. You still had just a little bit of time on that second spawn timer. But picking up your tank and your Pharah is a really good idea, especially since they still had people contesting the point. So that was definitely a good res on your part. I would be looking to get off the point here now, especially with Mei behind you. I'm glad that you jumped forward with your Winston. You're in his bubble, which is good. Now, what I would like to see is for you to kind of come back and hang out around the dumpsters back here and around the corners, which you're doing a little bit of. Be careful going under here. I know that's where the health pack is. It sometimes might be worth it to go more to the right, even though I know there's a soldier over there right now. But in the future, their spawn is coming from where you went for the small health pack. Sometimes it's better to take a little extra time and just go grab the big health pack. Or get out of line of sight so you're not taking damage and you can let your health regen. It looks like you have your prefer beam target on right now. I personally don't like playing that way because I feel like it doesn't let me do my job to the fullest potential and allow me to escape situations that I don't want to be in. You might want to try playing with it where you prefer it off so you can heal someone in danger and fly to somebody who is out of danger while keeping your beam on the person who is taking damage. Oh, your Pharah is so screwed. Unless she gets out of there. No, she got out. Good job. So that means there's still a diva behind you. I think that was a diva. Anyways, let's pause for a second. Having the beam on prefer target off, at least for me, just lets me do my job better. It's allowed me to get out of some situations and keep somebody alive where otherwise I think we would have both died. So feel free to give it a try if you want to. If this style really works for you and you like it, stick with it. But if you find yourself going, man, I wish I felt like I had more mobility, or I don't feel like I'm getting out of situations fast enough, try prefer beam target off and just see how you like it. It might help you with your style and just staying alive longer and being able to support your team a little bit better. I would have actually looked for where the nerf this was, just to put my eyes on it, because that sound just scares me. I would honestly... It's really good that soldier didn't kill you there. So what I'm noticing a lot of is you're staying really, really close up within your team. Some of the time that's really good, and some of the time that's really bad. I don't think they have a Zarya. At least I haven't seen one on the other side. So I have to watch the kill feed a little bit better. But if they had a Zarya, you would be running a high risk of getting caught up in a grab and not being there to res your team, or getting caught in a hammer down if they have a Reinhardt, or getting caught in any kind of ult that's going to come over the payload. Try to utilize the full distance of your beam as often as you can, as well as Guardian Angel as often as you can. Having that full distance does mean that if somebody does try to flank and come get to you, you have a faster reaction to get away. The farther your beam is away from where you want to fly, the faster you'll actually fly there. And also don't be afraid to cancel your beam distance if you need to at times. That way you don't fly past your target or into danger. There you go. So yeah, hang back to the left here behind the hay bales. Don't get super close to their spawn like you are right now, especially since you have res. I feel like if you do have beam target on right now, it's actually hindering some of your mobility, because you're trying to Guardian Angel to the person that you have. You're trying to Guardian Angel, but because it's locked onto the person you have your beam onto, you're just kind of doing really short, choppy flights. Which sometimes isn't bad, but when you get into danger, not being able to do that full beam or be able to fly to someone far away by just changing the direction of your staff without having to take the beam off first can really affect you. I would have moved inside of that bubble just to get the tracer off of me a little bit so I'd stop taking damage. I would fly up to your, if you're facing their spawn, the left where I think your Pharah is on critical. Your Winston can handle the tracer for a bit, and that gets you up on high ground where you can still support him, help Pharah, and get the kill on tracer. So think about that. Always be thinking about where can I be safest while still being able to support my team. Okay, good. I'm actually glad you went around the back of the beam here instead of crossing in front of it. Okay, I would have been healing Pharah through her ult. You could see, so let's rewind. So when Pharah ults, you can see the soldier up there on the top left. He's going to be shooting her. She's at full health now, but as soon as he starts shooting at her, she's going to drop drastically. I would have preemptively healed her to hopefully help keep her alive. Even though you have res, it would have been better to just keep her alive and instead of letting her die, basically, which is what you're doing by damage boosting her. Which I didn't just missee that you were damage boosting, right? I'm not losing my mind. Yeah, you damage boosted and then tried to catch up with heals. If you'd have just put heals on right away, I think you would have been okay. So now you've got one dead. Hanzo's super critical here. He might die. Oh, you got your beam on him. See, nope, he did die. So I probably would have waited a second before, actually your Tracer died, not your Hanzo. So you still had a little bit of time on that res timer. I might have backed up just a second and been careful, because your Hanzo is still super critical. He's crouch walking around there, just in case he died. So you really need to back up more to... There you go, there you go. Okay, so did you see how close that pulse bomb was to the vehicle? If it had been any farther back, or on, you know, just past, or if the car had been a little bit more forward, you would have died. So this is what I'm saying about staying really, really close to your team. It's not necessarily the best thing to be doing. I know you don't have res right now, so it's not really as big of a deal if you die because you don't have res. But you need to play a lot of the times like you always have res. Learn how to support your team but stay safe at all times, like you need to do if you have res. It keeps you more active in the game, and it's a better play style, in my opinion, for Mercy to constantly be supporting her team instead of being back, which you're obviously not hiding for res. You've been resing in the moment. And I actually don't know if you do hide for any reses in this game or not, because we don't see you defend. But you need to keep a little bit more distance from your team for safety and for mobility. The closer you are to the clump of your team, the less mobility you're going to have. You need to give yourself that distance to be able to fly, to be able to move, to be able to stay alive if you are getting targeted. Nobody's really come back to harass you yet. But as you go up in ranks, that's going to become what's just going to happen. That's going to be normal. Somebody's going to be back there harassing you 24/7. So you need to start preparing now to be able to handle that. And that starts by keeping distance between you and your teammates so you can move and fly and stay out of line of sight and just overall protect yourself a little bit more. Good damage boost on Hanzo during his ult. Good. Don't worry about Winston. He'll jump back to you. Get off of the payload. Okay. The Zen came back and got you. But that fight was over. You didn't have res and your tank were down, so... Start over. You are 50% back, though. Somebody's still up there. Oh, your Tracer's still up there doing work. She got a couple picks for you. If she'd have stayed alive, it would have been worth pushing. But because she died, those picks have ended up kind of wasted. You guys are pushing in with just the 4 of you right now anyway. Hanzo got a good pick for you, though, so that's good. And that's behind you. So... let's see here. So you actually see Soldier. This is where you've got to be constantly looking around. You see Soldier come out. Now, I don't know if you called him out or not, because I can't hear the voice comms, but if I would have seen Soldier up top, that is, he's flanking. He's probably got tac visor. He hasn't used it in a while. I need to not be here. I know I don't have res yet, but I'm pretty close, and the damage people are going to be taking here very shortly, I could probably get close enough to it that I could be of use. I would fly to my Winston and move around to the right, and try to get off to that center, because I can kind of play in between the little doors on the right here, and kind of pay attention to where he's coming from. You can also use your Winston to body block, and he could take all the damage for you while you're healing him. It also means that you could possibly go around and get up top and just tuck into the stairwell if there's nobody on that right side contesting you. Instead, we're going to start getting ulted. And if we'd have known where he was, I mean, we had every opportunity to see him, we could have avoided that. Because there's really not a lot of options for you right now because you're very close to your team, so there's nowhere for you to really fly. Maybe, trying to see where everybody is. I might have still tried to fly to my Winston and just used him to body block. But there wasn't a lot of options at that point. Doesn't really matter. Your team still parks the payload, which is awesome. But if they hadn't have been able to, you probably could have ended up with res and resed anybody else who died to that ult if Soldier had done a little bit more work. So that's everything I think we get to see, right? We get to see a little bit of defense. Okay, we get to see a little bit of defense. Let's see, what do we see? Don't jump out there, there's a Junkrat. Okay, heals on your sim, she was half. There you go, her shields were regenerating. Okay, so yeah. So I probably wouldn't have followed my hog all the way down, at least without looking all the way back, because you do have a couple, oops, come on game, you do have a couple of people that end up on critical when you do follow him. If he went around that corner, I probably would have just left him, because your Soldier's on critical, and your Zarya is getting kind of weak. Even though Soldier can heal himself, you're still trying to build res, so it's one of those things where you just try to get him before he self-heals. But I wouldn't have followed Hog probably down this far without having a second healer, honestly. I try to stay in line of sight of everybody so I can support everybody. But anyways, overall, it's not bad. Had a couple of very good reses. Really what I'm seeing is that you really just need to work on your positioning overall. I think if you do that and kind of follow some of the tips I gave and always think about lengthening your beam to as far as it can go, and kind of staying out of line of sight, stay off to the side. Think about the team always being in an L. You should be able to see your team, but their team shouldn't be able to see you, if that makes sense. So your team should be the bottom half of the L, and then the enemy team is the top half. I don't know if that makes sense without actually being able to show it visually, but hopefully it does. But yeah, basically just positioning for you. It looks like you're talking a lot, which is good. I wish I could hear your comms. But also look around a whole lot more. You probably could have avoided being killed by that Soldier at the end of your attacking round if you had just spotted him and positioned for it. Always look for flankers. Always look for somebody above you because they're typically there. Especially in the higher ranks, there's always going to be somebody behind you. So as you keep playing, practice it in quick play, practice it in competitive, but try to keep your head on a swivel. You don't have to be looking at your target to heal them. So use that to your advantage by turning around all the time, looking around, trying to keep an eye on your team, but also where the enemy team is. If you don't see the Soldier in front of you, find him, because it means he's probably behind you. Same with a McCree, same with a Tracer. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask them below. Hopefully this will help you, and I will catch you guys next time. Bye.